my total presentation today, or my passion towards our today's HR, is to give a little bit of avenue of what I am passionate about in terms of how we bring the quality of our project managers. Now, a lot of people here probably have understood that we need to develop a strong capability among our human resource, among our human capital, with respect towards how we design project. Now, the interest of what we're going to do here is that more so, the 4 things that I would like to achieve in my presentation is: 1, why do we need a sustainability project manager? Number 2, what does sustainability project manager do? And 3, what is the sustainability project management all about? And now 4, what is the assessment for sustainability project management? These are the 4 areas which is heavily being demanded everywhere in terms of why do we take a lot of consideration, or why is it that it's very important for us to know about sustainability in project management. Now, the first item that I will cover is right now, what is exactly I call the importance of sustainability project manager. As you can see, once you have taken into consideration what I'm going to share with you today, upon completion of my topic, you will able then to understand how important is sustainability, and to what extent I'm going to give you a tool what I call a PRISM project management lifecycle tool, for you to understand that there is a need for you to do assessment for your project. And of course, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a project manager, and you are a business owner, you want to develop an effective business case. And also, if you are reporting directly to your government or to your stakeholders and also to your customers, there's a need for you to do what I call impact assessment on your project, so that you can evaluate to what extent you have done a good job with respect towards the project. Yeah. So when we talk about the overview of what we're going to do, is why project management is very important in respect towards sustainability. These are some of the things which has been voiced out very clearly. Yeah? 1 is the sustainability imperative. Number 2 is the triple bottom line, which people are very well aware of with respect towards the 3 elements, which is society, environment, and economy. And the sustainable development goals. I think you all have heard about this, which is very related towards the United Nations SDGs. And of course, we also have the United Nations Global Compact principles, which is the guiding principles towards your alignment in terms of how you want to do your sustainable practice. And last but not least, your sustainability reporting, to what extent it is able to capture data for the benefits of others, yeah, in terms of sharing the knowledge. Now, why are we very concerned about sustainability is because of this. We know that our global footprint is already doubling the earth. So when we are really in this kind of situation, we know that we are in a critical emergency state. Yeah, maybe we don't realize it because we are very much in the comfort of our own home. But as a whole, the country or the whole global is at risk. So if we do not do something about what is going on in our world, therefore, in the future generation and the future income is going to be affected. So that sustainability impact is what we are trying to address, yeah? Because we don't have any of this element of creating 1.7 planet. We got only 1 planet. So we have to be very concerned about this. Now, I'm thinking all of you are fully aware about the waste that has gone into the ocean, and this is really impacting a lot of our fish species and the life underwater. And if this is not rectified, we as human who so-called the talented creature are ready to be blamed. Yeah. So this is where, when we talk about humanity, how we want to address all our talent, all our systems, and all our expertise, we have to make sure that whatever the production of our work, we are not supposed to destroy the planet. Whether we are in a small country, big country, or whatever, we are all living in one planet. So this is where our expertise in terms of why we need to get into sustainability is because it has a lot of the element of cost. We are already putting too much of what they call elements of losses, and more so even now in pandemic, you will see a lot of people are closing down on business because it's no longer sustainable. And if we were not also aligned to what the sustainability impact reporting is all about, we may also be part of that retrenchment. So this is where a lot of the reasons for our sustainability is not because of trying to make a corporate survive. The sustainability element is more about how we sustain our future income where our resources are not being eroded. Yeah. Now, everybody have heard about the triple bottom line, which is the planet, the people, and the prosperity. Now, in short, a lot of people will say it's social, it's environment, it's economic. Whether you put it in the form of P or whether you put it in the form of a triple bottom line is sort of the same meaning. But what is more important is that the people that are the main driver. This is why we talk about today's HR summit. It's the people that we are addressing. If we are the one that's supposed to solve the problem, we are the one that's supposed to make the air more cleaner. We are the one that's supposed to reduce a lot of wastage and clean the water. But if we are not skilled and we are not giving enough in understanding the values that we need to get back, a lot of times we are just being very selfish. So this is where that if we are very much skilled, we should be more better in managing the resources, not just go for profit. And at the end of the day, there is nothing much left for anyone just because of our limited interest to solve problem, but more towards a different stature altogether. Now, then this is where we say, other than the triple bottom line, the important is that we have to understand the reason about this need for us to stay sustainable is the purpose. If we feel that the sustainability is what I call is something not to be addressed by anyone today, we are wrong, because the act of the previous generation or the previous people has given us a lot of benefits till today. But for the people of today have started to create benefits for the people of the future. So this is where when we want to do our project, be it digital project, be it AI, be it for whatever purpose, the element of giving back the values of what we do to the community, to the environment, to the social is very, very important. Yeah. So this is where my passion is when it comes to whatever the technology that you want to bring in, be it for biological cycle or technical cycle, for whatever reasons that you know, innovation is very, very critical. We want to create what we call a cradle-to-cradle project, a circular economy project, so that we don't do any wastage. So if you have this type of wastage, that means we may not be part of a generation that is saving the world. Yeah, this is where there's a skill set that must be very, very critical in our organization. Now, we also are very well versed regarding the blue economy, which is the economy which was never touched by most academics, yeah, or touched by a number of people, because it is a little bit far different from what is taught in school. Many now economy respect towards marine, to ecotourism, inclusive job creation. These are new HR functions that need to be focused. Yeah. And many of the times we are still solving in-house issues as compared to environmental issues. So these are the elements which I believe we have to address in any HR forum regarding sustainability. Yeah. So we know about the 17 SDGs, and we know that if we were to select any of the 17 SDGs in our project, the chances that we're able to solve the problem globally, it has an impact. So this is where when we want to align SDGs with the project that we have, we respect that we want to create an impact and an outcome. This is more than beyond HR, because HR is probably to look at a function of where you believe the people should perform. But when we talk about a project, this is where we want to give the ability, the creativity, the innovation of the individual to do more impact-driven project so that a lot more people can benefit out of it. Now, this is the skills that we're talking about that for me, it is very important right now for any HR when they want to assess any individual coming to an organization. It's all about their contribution, to what extent they can handle the 3P or the 5P. So let me share with you the fact that if someone were just to handle the 3P, this is a component where you already know that you don't have any more room for you to change. Yeah, this is where a lot of people who are having the 3Ps, which is more of the PMP approach, they receive a budget from the top, and this is what they're supposed to manage. They're supposed to cut costs and manage the resources within a certain time frame. And there you go, they only can deliver so much. But when someone has got the creativity to do more than what their person can do, that is where the value creation project management comes in, because you are not limiting to a certain scope. You are addressing much more better than your job description. So this is where the stakeholders are very interested to know what more can be done out of the ability of the individuals, yeah, not by the ability of the job function. Because in any job function, people can do the job. But ability to do value-driven projects, it has a lot more element of integration that need to be done. So this is where if someone wants to do that value creation base, they have to adopt the framework of 5P. So what are the 5Ps? Which is product, process, people, planet, prosperity. Now, how do you handle that when you have multiple projects probably under your own domain or under your own custodian that you believe you are already leveraging on other people's asset and you are also leveraging on other people's product. But as a project owner, this is where we need to address the fact that if a project is very sustainable, it's not about the ability to make profit only, but it's also to extend the project to multiple, driven values that later on you can address the project very clearly. Now, there are elements where a project can be simple and a project can be complicated. So as a situation where a project is a bit more complex, this is where you need to define the project in terms of its simplicity and its breakdown. A project can be very simple as it designed as something like, even though you want to do an ebook, it's a project. You want to make a mechanical car, it's a project. You want to make a twin tower, it's a project. But to what extent you can make it more simpler, and by phase, it has its ability to deliver a much more quality-based project. Yeah. Now, this is where when we talk about product life cycles, when we have an element of sustainability benefit, comparing to your traditional benefit, you will see that anyone that goes beyond the value-based project management, it has got a lot of returns. And these returns, normally people don't understand in terms of how it's being created. Now, the value-based system, what I call benefits for sustainability, come with the aspect of the competency of the person. So the person, if able to design what is it that it takes to do project management, that's the designing ability. Now, just like any architect, you need to design a building, and that is where they bring the element of creativity on the structure, on the materials, or on the location, and of course the customers that's going to come into the project. Yeah. So what we want when we want to bring competency to the project, we want to ensure the project manager is equipped as a competent person. Yeah. Yeah. So if the person is equipped with the competency, we want to design. We want to design the project in a manner that it has its alignment. The first things that a person need to do when they want to align is, of course, select. The first step is select any of the 17 SDGs with respect towards their choices of in relation to their sustainability project. Number two, they will start to look at the components of impact towards the triple bottom line. This is where the integration becomes a little bit more complex and a little bit more intricate. So the element where you want to integrate all these 5 elements, the method to integrate is called PRISM method. So anyone who wants to be competent in using PRISM method to integrate components of sustainability, they have to be someone attending a few courses. Yeah. So this is where what is the PRISM method encompasses. Of course, it is a structured project methodology that incorporates ISO standards. Yeah. And also the other element of assessment aligned with the United Nations GRI G4 or United Nations Global Compact. So a person who's complete in that competency will design better in terms of how they want to create a much more resourceful and sustainable project. Now, in any project management, you have the delivery phase, which is who authorized you to do a project and who's supposed to benefit out of this project. But what's more important is how you design the deliverables. To design the deliverables, a lot of people will want to know the element of the framework. How does that framework assist us in the creativity of a project? Now, many people are probably says creativity comes only from the person who is doing the job day in, day out. Now, sometimes an operation person may not come out with the creativity. The person that come out with the creativity is the person that able to integrate many elements, just like a cook. When you want to cook, some cook may just take 2 or 3 elements. Some cook may take 4 or 5 elements. But the art of integrating those elements give the best of the products. So the designing of that menu and the fact that experience comes in to design the menu, that's where you see the quality of the person in understanding who is the customer that they want to service, that they want to make the best of food, and to what extent they are using resources that is probably not that expensive, and probably it is available easily within their reach. And of course, the cost, to what extent the customer is happy to pay with the type of food that they bring prepared. So the element of prosperity comes with an element of how do you integrate it. This is components of a sustainability impact framework. Now, to come into this kind of framework and for me to help you to design your project based on this framework, it is a course by itself. Yeah. So when we do that kind of structure, we know that the first element that we're giving to you is what is exactly your project and whether you want to define it as part of your components of your product and process, and how do you want to define your people, planet, and prosperity, and what are subcategories that is relation of that people, planet. So when you see this element is designed this way because it has these components of the breakdown of this structure. Okay? Now, then when you look at the subcategory and the category and the elements, so you can see where those components are aligned, be it for social impact, be it for environmental impact, and be it for economic impact. So when you want to design a sustainable project, when you complete all of them together, there you go, you will have that 5P component embedded inside your project. And if you have an interest, for example, to measure a carbon emission as part of your component of the project element, this is where the designing of that with the component of the integration of all elements, and you will get to know about this when you know that you are already having the ability. Now, this kind of ability doesn't come easy. That's why I said it takes a competent person. So if you are not competent, I definitely advise you to take the competency class. And this is where you will then become the designer in your company when your bosses or your stakeholders or your government is requesting for everyone to go to sustainability. That's where the value of your qualities becomes higher. And this is where HR will definitely pinpoint you as the person to lead some of the project. And so this is where the leader of the project management is a competent person would definitely get up, not only definitely got paid higher, but of course the attention given with the fact that he's able to manage. Now, for those who have no ability to take an exam or to be a competent person, they can always upgrade themselves. And this upgrading can come in under our upskilling courses, which can just be a 1 or 2 days, and they can still get their competency or their knowledge much more, driven towards understanding how to do the sustainable practice. Now, here comes the third component, which is what is it in the sustainability that is important in project management? Where is it in the project management per se? Yeah. So when you look at a project manager, you will see a project manager is very much in the center because he's the one who's in control of the whole understanding what he is managing. Just like the chief of any organization, the CEO, when he's standing tall, because he can overlook at the whole ecosystem and who are actually the ones surrounding him and how does his team work. For example, if we are now in the situation of COVID, who is the project manager in the country that is handling the COVID situation? It has to be one project manager. But the project manager has got challenges. If he doesn't understand how to handle the community outside the organization or the community inside the organization or the stakeholders that he or she is reporting, there is an element of where failure can come in. So the project manager, who is very much probably incompetent, he will be involved in many, many issues. He may not be able to understand some of the components of how to harmonize or how to reduce risk or how to design elements that are in favor of the new generation. Yeah? So this is some of the challenges that normally a project manager face when they want to handle sustainability, because they may not understand it fully the way that people are expecting them to do. Now, if you look at sustainability, a lot of the time, you can leverage on CSR. You can cut a lot of costs if you know what CSR means. But because it is not a subject matter that you can handle it every day, a person who has got a project management skill should able to address losses, wastage through a CSR approach. But this is, again, like I mentioned, it is not a technical expert to understand CSR. It's a relationship of people that can link to bring back some value to you without you investing anything. So this is where the components of understanding what is CSR to sustainability, a lot of people think it's just a charity. No, it is more about the skill of integration into your business process. Now, the other challenges that is also handled by the boss, or the people who are sponsoring the project, not only to the outer circle, which is the people who are looking at him as the project manager, but also the internal organization, where you have to really also communicate to the people that under you that want to know what exactly that you are addressing on respect towards sustainability. So if there is no connectivity, if there is no consistency, and if you not know how to manage the whole ecosystem in general, there is a possibility that your sustainability project will have a chance to be critics, or you may not get the full of the impact that you wanted. Yeah. So this is where the understanding about how you want to move yourself from that 3P model to a 5P model, it takes not only an upskilling element, it takes a little bit more than that, because it has a component of creativity component, in project management. This is not a science per se, but it has a mix on hybrid between an art and science. So if you want to talk about sustainability as respect towards inside the business process, again, many people, when they see an opportunity and they see this is a business case, a lot of the time they forgot about realignment regarding the whole objective. More people will just go straight to operation and just pass it to operation leader or whatsoever to handle the situation. So when this is done, the designing for the P5 may be missing. Okay, so in most cases, when people just pass it down to the operation, the operation who will only be addressing based on their operational ISO, whatever project that come in will be standardized. So this will not create value the way that we want to create value as in the designing. So this is the problem when we respect towards the missing element where they think the sustainability is after the operation is handling it. Actually, sustainability is more than the operation. It is the designing of impact. So normally operations do not handle impact. They handle operation cost and element of reducing waste and so on, but not in the component of the project governance. So that takes the control of the project manager. So this is where the most relevant part, when it's given to the operation, they will just look at procurement. And that is the easiest way to them to do the sustainability reporting through the procurement way. But that is not the true reflection of it. The true reflection is when you design a project inside the strategic, what I call committee that agrees on the impact before they pass to the operation. But if this is not done, then there is a missing link in your sustainability, and it will just remain a project rather than a sustainability project. Now, so when we bring impact of compliance into project management that has got sustainability component, the positioning of the ISO is very important. So this is where you will see a lot of our impact training courses, it covers project governance. And this is where, whether you are doing HSE, safety, energy, or environmental, a lot of the time, the compliance will be on the project designing per se as compared in the project operation. So again, this is the real critical element to understand where is sustainability. It's not after the operation, it is before the operation, so that everybody will then know the directive from the top, what exactly the KPI that has been fully agreed from the top, and to what extent they've agreed on the expenses, and to what extent they've agreed on components to reduce waste, and who are the contractors and the suppliers that can handle it. So these are the elements that is very critical when you want to do sustainability. So we come now to the last component. Now that you have put a lot of effort on sustainability in your project management, there is a need to then do the assessment. What exactly are you assessing? So to assess the project management per se, there is a tool where we call the GPM 360. Now, the GPM 360 is a tool adopted by an accreditation body called GPM Global that help to assess project when project has been designed in the component of having a sustainability management plan and having what I call sustainability audit. But a lot of the times, people will only start to measure on the impact of sustainability when the operation has completed. But this is not the case if you want to do what I call a reporting. A reporting should be already aligned during the designing in terms of what is as the special indicator that you want to measure and you want to report. So, for example, if you are talking about activity on construction, activity on water or energy, so you have to really understood what is it is critical that people want to hear from you based on the project they are doing. That when people ask what is the relationship for you in sustainability, you can relate the data and you can relate the measurement of what has been calculated as part of your project implementation. So again, when you do that, you look back at your designing and what are the components that you previously agreed with your strategic team that you will then, that you focus for your KPI. So if you are looking at carbon dioxide emission, then this is where everybody should already be fully aware down to the lower level of the organization, that that is what you will be concerned about as part of your mega sustainability reporting. So there's always a component of whether you have done a positive impact or you have done a negative impact. So how do you do that assessment? This is where the alignment between your P5 and the SDGs, this has already been done. So if you select any of the component of the P5, a homework has been done to really pick where are the SDGs that is related to the P5. So this is already like your compass for you to then pick very easily if you were to take any of those elements under the impact and to what extent it's really highly related to the SDG. So this is already one kind of reporting that match perfectly well with your project alignment. Number two, when you talk about the P5 again, it's already equivalent towards all the other assessment on the GRI, G4 and the what they call United Nations Global Compact. So this is where you don't have to do a double work. You can already start to focus on what you want to design in your P5, where at the end of the day, the operation will then understood what is it that have been captured to support your sustainability reporting. Now, some of the analysis that we do under our GPM 360 is very very simple. Number one, when we do this courses of competency, definitely will let you know regarding what is it that you must do on the selection of your alignment with the P5 framework to use as a guidelines towards your creative designing. There is also a template that will be guiding you regarding what you need to measure towards the end. And after that, once you have done that, there is always a monitoring between what you did before and what you did after. And this is well controlled under the sustainability management plan so that you will know exactly what the operations need to do now that you have already designed it way ahead of your way ahead of your operation. So this is some of the example. If you want to do a impact analysis, you have to do a scorecard regarding what if this thing happened, what kind of score will you give in terms of its evaluation, or you can just give a very simple legend to indicate what does a plus and a positive means. So these are some of components that help you to define how you look at impact assessment. Again, as you said, why you want to do this is very much for you to monitor to what extent the cost of you driving sustainability has created a contribution towards the social, the environment, the economy. This is where all the integration that we have done, it's very much in compact to what you can do. So this has been what I have been doing for the last 6 years when we developed the understanding that sustainability is very important in project management. And due to that, I have been very active in making people become more competent to do this exercise so that more so they get to see what is the impact of their project and they get to report based on a very analytical approach. And when they have done that, they can see their graph regarding what they have done with respect towards the alignment of those elements that has been identified. And there they can also report it to their stakeholders, their funders, or the necessary community that may be interested in knowing what has happened. So again, when we use this alignment and the assessment, it is for us to give a comfort zone regarding our control factor within the scope of general reporting and the scope for the detailed reporting. So I have designed this special presentation is to expose to most of you who probably do not know about the P5 standard, because this is one of the very, very, very successful tool being used globally in 145 countries. So if you're not aware of it, this is where I bring this subject matter in today's HR Summit, because I believe a lot of you are project owners, are project managers, or probably soon to become project manager. If you have been given the responsibility to do something and you want to act on it, this is where we can assist you. Yeah. So in total, what I'm trying to say, this is where we bring all the alignment in. When I mentioned to you about sustainable development goals, the United Nations, when you have your product and your project and your processes, you also need to create your people and your planet and prosperity impact. Last but not least, your alignment with the Global Compact or GRIG4. So when you do your P5 right in the middle, you cater all these 4 elements, which is the component of the ecosystem within your P5 framework. So this powerful integration is what we call the PRISM method. So if you are competent to do the designing of projects using the PRISM method, this is where you are being recognized as a sustainability project manager. So for those who attended our courses, definitely be given a book for you to do as your reference, and also for you to know more about the detail about project management in sustainability. And a lot of the people who are designing this book are the people who have been very much involved in PM book itself. So they are the drivers of PM book. But now, when they know that the PM book does not have the right ingredient of sustainability, they have jumped themselves into what I call green project management or sustainability project management as another group out of the core member of project management. So upon my presentation now, this is what I believe I've completed and give you a total picture what it takes for you to play a very simple role but effective, that you need to take into consideration bringing in sustainability into your project. That's number one. Understand how to integrate it, because that is where we give you the tools for the PRISM method. Develop a business case that is real, that you can then do exercise within your core team, so that before it goes into the operation, you already have understood what it need to be, what are the impact that need to be assessed prior to go into operation mode. So then again, you can evaluate what are the KPI that need to be negotiated or need to be reflected, and to a certain extent, where you believe your potential contractors and suppliers can assist you in leveraging your mission. And last but not least, the importance for you to reduce risk and increase more of your compliance, so that you have a better branding in managing your project. So this is my last slide. As I mentioned, this is the component that I believe in all HR summit, they do not talk about project management. They will talk about HR policies. They will talk about the HR hiring and compensation and so on in terms of job description. But the creativity of the HR is to ensure more is to be given to the liberty of the employee, is to encourage them to be creative in project, so that they can contribute more to the company, and of course produce more projects out of another project, where you can see the cradle to cradle movement, and this is where you can remain sustainable for a longer time. So that is the sharing that I want to do today in terms of today's discussion. And I know a lot of the discussion that was discussed is very much related towards IT, towards AI, towards an element of technology, which is very important. And all of this has got its relation towards P5. So I want that I want to ensure that countries that we are engaging with or partners that we are engaging with, we want to bring this quality of skilled project managers on sustainability to be part of your project assignment, so that you will know that the world needs a much more competent project manager than what we have today. So with that, I thank you. And if there's any question, I'm more than happy to answer. Shamil, over to you. So if Shamil is not there,
yeah.
So if there is any question from the group.
Yes, this is Omar here. I have a question. I basically not a question, some information. Basically, thank you, Dr. Noor. It's a really good presentation, and myself, I'm a project manager. And recently, I've been working on a sustainability report for my organization. And while doing some research, I came across a lot of valuable information. Kuwait basically has a Kuwait National Development Plan. It has its own sustainability, which is built on 7 pillars and 5 strategic directions, and which is aligned to, excuse me, which is aligned to the UN SDG. So while I was preparing this report, I realized that basically any organization within Kuwait has to also map itself to the KNDP, that is the Kuwait National Development Plan, which is a very good thing. And your presentation has really added benefit to my knowledge. And I look forward maybe towards a training in the future with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Omar. Thank you for that. Yes. I just want to add on, I have been in the government before. I was from Ministry of Finance. If you read my profile, I was from Ministry of Finance before. I was doing a lot of project assessment reporting in the early days of my early career, where I had to report to my stakeholders, which is the Prime Minister. So, and I was also involved in one of the Prime Minister's project, which is the Multimedia Super Corridor in National Development Program. And there, of course, human capital is very important. And more so when the technology industry, the multimedia industry comes into active mode, we have a lot of what I call funding that we need to do for technology project. And I was one of the people that was appointed in setting up a bank called Malaysia Debt Ventures, where we are assigned to look at projects that can really take off to support the ecosystem of the IT industry. And there, as you can see, when we talk about this ability of the people, of the entrepreneurs, a lot of them, they are very, very technology oriented. But when we're talking about funding for the community, where the community, where it's a public money, so it has to be understanding that the fund is just not meant for the technology. The fund is more meant for the community to benefit and for other elements to benefit, which is, of course, environment and economy. So this is where we always train the entrepreneurs to say that the technology element is a technical expert, but the value-based element, this is where they need a lot more mentor and collaboration with industries, which a lot of them probably do not have that relationship or having the platform to do it. And one of the things which I am engaged in right now, we have a platform called Innovation Platform, where a lot of the discussion on innovation normally got loose out because there is no integrated way to what I call bring people for discussion and lock the discussion either in the closed door or whatsoever. A lot of it is in a loose kind of discussion. And there, when you want to talk about integrating elements into the innovation discussion, because the standard manual way, committee way, a general meeting way, it is not technology based. So when it's not technology based, it's all based on human interaction. And human, as you say, they move around, they go from one place to another, and there you lose all the discussion again. So this is where we have a system called InnoPlo that help to give two type of platform. One is the exploratory platform for people to innovate thinking, so that they can keep on building on a discussion group and keep all the discussion in a manner that they don't lose out all the points that they have been discussing all this while. Yeah, normally the old days we have the secretary, we have the committee, and you will have minutes of meeting. But those are the old days. But now we need to bring all the discussion in a manner that it doesn't get lost out, so that the innovation discussion, even for something that in future it has been discussed in detail with expertise, whether it's within the organization or outside the organization. So again, that is in terms of the creativity of innovation. But to bring it into acceptance, that is another level where you need to bring it to the buy-in of the stakeholders, whether they agree for their innovation to take off. Once it has been taken off or been agreed, then you go into the project management P5 mode, where you want to see to what extent it can be implemented for its impact. And then only you can do a rollout towards the operation. So there is a process that needs to be done even when you have an innovative idea. So it's not something that can be easily, implemented in overnight. It has a process. They have to go through the mill in screening and in evaluating, and of course acceptance level to various parties, not through bureaucracy, but through the expert and the people who understand more about whether it is timely, whether it's at the right time, or whether it is still too early in the market. So all these things need to be captured, and there is a system to handle that. Not just the project management, but the innovative platform for people to have the freedom to discuss and not and bring the right people to give ideas and suggestions, which can cut a lot of costs or time loss if you were to do it alone. Yeah, that's my added point.
I totally agree. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Noor. So, anyone is having questions?
No questions, but thank you, Dr. Noor. I appreciate all the information provided.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Dr. Noor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ajana. Just to add on, my last point is that I'm an HR also. I'm a recruiter and I do a lot of assistance towards the Middle East. My client has always been the Kuwaitis, the Saudis, the UAEs, the Qataris, the Bahrainis, and so on. So being part of this Middle East ever since my involvement 15 years ago, it has been a very interesting region for me to work with. And I believe we have migrated a lot from the platform of the old HR ways on how interviews is done. Now we have the technology that have taken up a lot of the wastage of interviewing or traveling and so on. So that has really migrated the activity of HR. But I think what we need to blend in as part of this, part of the HR community, is to ensure that the quality of the people that we hire has got the best of ability to do more than just the job description. That's my passion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Noor. So we'll move to...
Over to you. Yes.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.